Hello and welcome to a new tutorial. So today's tutorial is a beginner friendly tutorial is on how to make a simple top with bell sleeves. Please watch to the end of this video. I'll be cutting the front and the back together, so I folded my fabric into four. On the start line, I'm measuring 3.5 inches, which is the neck width, and also on that start line, I'm measuring 8 inches, which is half of my shoulder measurement. From the 8 inches point, I came down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and I'll connect that to the neck width point. For the neck depth, I will use the same neck depth for the front and the back. So I would measure 3.5 inches for the neck depth for both the front and the back. I would use a curve ruler to connect the point, the neck width point to the neck depth point. So I also like to say that this top will not have a zipper allowance, and like I said before, I folded my fabric, the front into two and the back into two. From the start line, I will measure 8.5 inches, which is half of the armhole measurement I'm working with, and this will act as the chest line. From the start line to 18 inches is the length of the top I'm making, and then I'll also add 1.5 inches hemming allowance to this measurement. I would repeat this measurement at another point to enable me get a straight line, and I'll make this measurement into a straight line. I'll rule across these measurements. On the chest line, I'm going to impute half of the shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches, the same as I had on the start line, and I'll connect this point to the line at the start line, to the point at the start line. Then on the chest line, I'm going to impute quarter of the bust circumference. The bust circumference I'm working with is 38 inches, and I'll add extra 3/4 inch ease because this is a free top without zipper, and I added another 1 inch sewing allowance to it. Then on the length of the top, I'm going to impute the quarter of the bust measurement without the ease allowance to it. That is 9.5 inches on that line, and I also imputed 1 inch sewing allowance to this, and I've connected from the chest line to the measurement on the hem line. Measure what I have from the shoulder slope to the chest line. The midpoint of that, I would come in by 1/2 inch, and then I would connect for the armhole curve. From the chest line, the measurement on the chest line to the 1/2 inch I came in by, and then to the shoulder slope. This will be the armhole curve for both the front and the back. I'll add joining allowance, 1/2 inch joining allowance on the shoulder for joining the front and the back together. After joining this, I'll then cut out the top. For this tutorial, I will not be lining this top. I will use a facing to turn the neckline, but if you want to line yours, you use the main fabric to cut out the lining, but you make the lining shorter by 1/2 inch. You make the length shorter by 1/2 inch for the lining piece. So I would join them by the shoulder and then by the side and hem the lower part. For the sleeves, I folded my fabric into four. I folded into two and then into two again because I'm cutting the two sleeves together. The width of this fabric is about 11.5 inches. So I ruled a line which will act as my start line. From there, I measured 4 inches as the cap's height I'm working with. Then I'm going to take the top I've already cut. I'm going to measure what I have. I'll take my top and measure what I have starting from the shoulder slope. The allowance is not inclusive. I'll measure from the shoulder slope to the chest line. The measurement I have there, I'm going to add 1/2 inch to that and impute it on the cap's height line, which is 8 inches. I imputed that, so I'm going to rule a line from this point to the tip of the first line. I have the start line, and then I'm going to measure what I have on this line I just ruled, find the midpoint. So from that midpoint, I'll make an inverted S down to the cap's height and then up to the start point, the start line. So this would be the sleeve head for the sleeve. So I'm going to add 1 inch sewing allowance, joining allowance to this measurement. And for the length of the sleeve I want is going to be a long sleeve. So the length of my sleeve is 23 inches, and I'm going to add extra 2 inches to this length, making it 25 inches for joining the sleeve head to the top and for hemming the lower part of the sleeve. So I'm going to measure out 25 inches length. On the length of the sleeve, I'm going to take all the measurements I have there. So I have about 11.25 inches, so I'm going to measure that as the width of the sleeve opening. Then I'm going to connect this 11.25 inches point to the cap's height, the measurement on the cap's height, and that will be that for my sleeve. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. So on my channel, I have a detailed tutorial on how you can make a basic long sleeve, and I'll be dropping the link to that tutorial in the description box. It's a very detailed tutorial, so you can watch that in case you don't know or have an idea on how to cut a basic long sleeve. So these are the sleeves, the two sleeves together. Now for sewing, I'm going to have placed a smaller piece of fabric into four. I folded them into four to cut the facing for the neckline. So I'll cut the facing. I'll just trace out the neckline and also the shoulder line, and then cut out the length I want for the facing. So I also have a video on how to line, where I made a crop top that I lined and also a crop top that I added zipper to, and I'll drop the links to these videos in the description box in case you want to add zipper to yours or in case you want to line yours. So I've just cut out the facing, and I want the length of the facing to be 4 inches, and that's what I'm measuring out. I'll just cut out the facing. The fabric, of course, I placed on fold. I folded into four to cut for the front and the back neckline. So when I open them up, I have two facings, one for the front and one for the back. So I'll place the facing, right side of the facing to the right side of the fabric. I'll sew the neckline, notch, and then top stitch towards the facing part. I'll do that for the two, the front and the back. So after doing that, I'll place them right sides facing each other. I'll join them by the shoulder, then join the side using the 1 inch seam allowance, hem the top, and then attach the sleeve to the top. I've used the facing to turn the neckline, as you can see. I've turned, I notched and top stitched towards the facing parts, and I've ironed the neckline. So I'm going to join them by the shoulder. I'll join them right sides facing each other. I'll place them like as you can see me demonstrate, and then flip one of the facing to the other side so that the seam I'll make there will be covered, and I'll sew using the 1/2 inch allowance I left for that. I'll do that for the two shoulders, and then I would sew the sides using the 1 inch allowance. I would also hem the top. Then the sleeves will be attached. After joining the sleeves, closing them up, I'll attach that. So this is the top that I just made. You can see how beautiful it looks. It's very simple and also beautiful. For this top, I made a pencil skirt to go with it, and I have a video, edited video on how you can make your pencil skirt, and I'll drop the link in the description box. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed, and also don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified every time I upload a new video. Bye.